The book is from the State Library of Pennsylvania, digitized by the Internet Archive in 2018 with funding from. This project is made possible by a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services as administered by the Pennsylvania Department of Education through the Office of Commonwealth Libraries. Free Negro heads of families in the United States in 1830, together with a brief treatment of the free Negro, by Carter G. Woodson, Ph.D., editor of the Journal of Negro History, author of A Century of Negro Migration, The Education of the Negro Prior to 1861, The History of the Negro Church, The Negro in Our History, The Mind of the Negro as Reflected in Letters Written During the Crisis, 1800 to 1860, and Negro Orators and Their Orations. The Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, Inc., Washington, D.C. Copyright 1925 by the Association of the Study of Negro Life and History, Inc. Forward. This report is the second of a series of documentary studies of the free Negro provided by a grant which the director of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History obtained from the Laura Spelman Rockefeller Memorial in 1921. It has been an expensive undertaking both with respect to the research required and the cost of publication. It is earnestly hoped that it will have sufficient value to justify the philanthropy and the painstaking effort which it represents. The aim of this report, like that of the free Negro owners of slaves in the United States in 1830, is to promote the further study of a neglected aspect of our history. As stated elsewhere, most of these free Negroes have been forgotten. For persons supposedly well informed in history, our surprise to learn today that about 500,000, almost 1/7 of the Negroes of this country were free prior to the emancipation in 1865. It is hardly believed that a considerable number of Negroes were owners of slaves themselves, and in some cases controlled large plantations. As an introduction to this study of the despised group, the author deemed it wise to publish these statistics from the census of 1830. These facts are early enough to guide one in the study of the Negro in the patriarchal slavery period, and late enough to give an index to the situation during the following century when the institution, becoming a mere system of exploitation, tended to debase also the free Negro. In 1830, moreover, the free Negroes had about reached their highest mark as a distinct class. As the author has stated elsewhere, the reaction which set in earlier in the century restricted their freedom and, in many cases, expelled them from the South. This census, then, evidently reports the names of a larger number of representative free Negroes than any other census prior to their debasement to a lower status or their migration from the South. This trek reached its highest point between 1830 and 1835. Most of the free Negroes in the North in 1830, therefore, had been there for some years. These facts were extracted from the manuscript schedules returned by those who took the census of the United States in 1830, after the editor had first copied the record of one state to acquaint himself in detail with the information given in these census reports. The statistics were, were then copied under his direction by three persons. One of them has had the advantage of 2 years normal training after finishing high school, and two of them have completed college courses at Harvard University and at the University of Michigan. The matter thus collected was then verified by Mr. Arutheus A. Taylor, an alumnus of Michigan and a Harvard Master of Arts in History and Economics, employed as associate investigator of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Further verification was made by the editor, Carter G. Woodson. Washington, D.C., September 1925. The next reading I will do will be the contents, the introduction, the origin of the free Negro. Peace and love. I hope that we can all benefit from having someone or some read to our community in order to get the information that has been locked up and detained while we're detained available to hear. Peace and love.